Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the final session of our Informed Voices Media Literacy webinar series. It's wonderful to have you with us, and thank you all for joining us for this final conversation, final discussion in the series. And tonight, we are going to explore a question that is highly relevant to teachers and educators everywhere. How can we actually bring media literacy into the classroom in a meaningful and practical and sustainable way? We often talk about the importance of media literacy, and but sometimes we can forget that for teachers, context can be quite different, and because they may have limited time, limited resources, or limited preparation. And at the same time, they are expected to keep up with a media environment that is that changes incredibly quickly. And our guest tonight has experienced many of these challenges actually in Austria. And his experience will provide us with an interesting example of what happens when teachers themselves take the initiative to develop practical solutions. And our session today is entitled Bringing Media Literacy into the Classroom, Lessons from Austria. And I would like to introduce our guest. It is my great pleasure to introduce our guest for today's session, Mr. Johannes. Just correct me if I mispronounce it. Knierzinger.
Very well, yes, Knierzinger it is.
Thank you.
Hello.
Co-founder of Forum Medienbildung in Austria. Johannes transitioned from approximately 15 years in the media industry into education and currently teaches digital literacy at the lower secondary level. He's also head of the ARGE or ARGE, Digital Literacy at the Education Directorate of Upper Austria. His work focuses on media literacy, the attention economy, and digital humanism. And he develops teaching materials and conducts workshops and lectures for schools, parents, and communities. Yes. So the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks a lot for the invitation. I'm happy and proud to share what we did. Started all 2 years ago. My presentation today will be, in the beginning, I will give you an overview why we started and how we started the whole idea of the media driving license. And first of all, previously, there will be some German expressions within the presentation since we speak German in Austria, and the brand name itself is called Medienführerschein, which translates into media driving license. If there are any questions regarding language or any questions at all, please interrupt me. I will start my presentation, but I'm used to present in front of 10 to 14-year-olds, so I'm very used to being interrupted. Honestly, it's kind of strange if I talk alone all the time. So I'm very happy if you just interrupt me if you have any questions. The agenda is I will show you why and how we started the whole project. I will give you a hands-on tour on the media driving license, on the curriculum which we developed in the second part. And afterwards, I'm happy to be here for a Q&A session if there are questions, especially regarding why or how it actually is in a practical setting in Austria. This presentation is more like the overall presentation. I think we can narrow it down to the teacher perspective as well. I will switch to my presentation right now. And since I won't see you within Zoom, please, if there are any questions, could you just make a sound? Otherwise, I will only see myself all the time. Do you see the presentation?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. Okay. So the the reason why we started the reason why I think we need to teach media literacy is we are now in a situation where the attention economy turned into a monopoly of 5 to 6 services, and it doesn't matter if we look at it from a youth perspective, from a pupil's perspective. We do the same workshops also with seniors. So I think the problem that we want to address here is not only a problem that is school related, it's more society related. And I don't think that I have to tell much about the problems which arise through that attention economy. But when we look at the media newspapers today, I think we all know the headlines. My experience, I started to become a teacher 4 years ago. It's my 5th year now. I was working for the attention economy, for the media economy, for the news economy. I was working for Austrian and European newspapers, and I think the experience that I made with the media economy, with the news economy, turned me into becoming a digital literacy teacher, because I realized that the ways that those services are set up, how they are developed, they're all made with this persuasive technologies, or the techniques and the technologies, why we always turn to these screens and not to current news anymore. And I personally see a big correlation to the tobacco industry. I'm pretty happy that the discussion, especially in the media area or the society, about this screen time, about age verification, about should teenagers use social media or social networks, got a lot of attention within the last weeks, especially due to the case now in America, where they find, or they're going to, or will find Meta to read up to 200 billion US dollars, because they already knew that the product itself is addictive. And there's the correlation to the tobacco industry, because if you look at the PR and lobbying industry of the tobacco industry in the 1920s and 1960s, it's your choice. It's a personal choice. Addictiveness of nicotine, of cigarettes, has never been the issue. They always talked about it's your choice. And that's what I see, or especially the last 2 years, when we talked about digital literacy and media literacy in Austria. It was similar to the tobacco industry, that it's your choice. And by making people smarter, by giving them the knowledge of how to use it, we gave the responsibility of the problems that arise to the pupils or the parents of the students, and that's what we wanted to address. In Austria, we have the situation that the news industry shifted to this, but this correlates to any country in the world right now. In Austria, we can measure it because there is a tax on advertising. And since up to the year of 2020, news in the digital advertising industry didn't have to pay the taxes for their advertising. But now with 2020, there is the 5% advertising tax also on digital advertising. And so we see that what you see here on these two graphs, if you look on the graphs, the dark one, the one that's rising, this is the digital industry. The digital industry means this is Meta and this is Google. This is like 5 or 6 companies. And by now they pay more taxes on digital advertising than all the common news, the media, the legacy media, what we call it, to pays all together combined over the whole of Austria. I know from a number from newspapers worldwide that from the newspapers, it changed in 2014, that they made more revenue on advertising, these 5, 6 companies, than all the newspapers combined in 2014. My history is that I was working for this news industry, and I started with initiative in the beginning. It was called Never Blog for Free. The idea was to tell journalists that if you use those social media outlets, those services, those platforms, you will destroy your own business model on the one side, and on the other side, you will have the problems that arise with algorithmic news distribution. That was in 2016, 10 years ago. At that time, I would say most of the newspapers in Austria said they're using social media and they will not join an initiative like this because the reader is there, they thought they can make money. But if you look at the story of the last 10 years, you will see that the newspapers lost all the revenues and now advertising is only happening at those big platforms like Meta and Google. The other problem why I chose to become a teacher is when you look at the screen time, how it developed over the last 100 years. You can't compare the screen time, obviously, because there were no screens before like 1970, 1980, and especially not in a broader societal perspective. So if you compare the hours that we are awake and get information of the awake time, in the 1920s, it was like up to 20% of the awake time that we we took information into us. Right now, we are like above 80% of the time that we spent with getting information, and this is the waking hours. So if you have like 7 hours sleep a day and or 8 hours, there were only 16 hours left. So having screen times at my students of 14 hours a day, it shocked me 4 years ago, but to be honest, this is very common, especially within my students. Like 8 hours is not extraordinary. 8 hours is already more like the average, and I have a lot of students that come up to 14 hours a day. The thing that they're missing now is obviously the sleep, and you see that as a teacher, if you're in school, that the sleep is missing. And one big problem that I see within this industry from a broader perspective is it used to be the attention economy. It used the time, these services wanted to get most of our time, obviously, because then they can show us more advertising, they make more profit and more money. But with artificial intelligence, I see the problem that the problem is shifting. They not only want to have the time spent with the services, now they also want to get our intimacy relation. They want an intimate relation with the users. So when I started, or when I saw that the screen time rises above like 8 hours, it was like, okay, you get the screen time, you can show the profit, but now they want this intimate relationship with us. And when you look at the way how those AI services are made or are developed, you see they want to become the best friend. So something between like spending 8 hours a day with the best friend, which is obviously only an artificial intelligence service. How we thought we want to change it. Fighting a platform, fighting this big economy as one or two person was obviously not a choice. So we decided, or I decided for myself, I want to get into education. I think this is the way how it can multiplicate, but it's the amount of people you can talk to as a teacher is a very high amount. I have 200 students a year. And we founded the Forum Medienbildung. Medienbildung is the German expression for media literacy. And from the beginning, we wanted to see, or wanted to change not only this on the side of the teachers and the students, which became the media driving license, the Medienführerschein. It was very important for us from the beginning to get society, to get parents, but also the economy on board. Because the problem is usually those projects, and I did a lot of evaluation on my own, comes from subsidies. And as soon as subsidies are over, those projects are usually dead. So we needed to find a way on how to see it more like from an publishing perspective to also earn money. It's more or less a non-profit project, but we need to earn money on the one side, we have people working in our company, so we need to pay them money on the other side. As you mentioned before, this industry, the media industry, is changing so fast. So it was clear for us from the beginning we can't make a school book and give the school book to the teachers. We need something that can be adopted on a daily basis, because those services that we are talking about are changing like on a 2 to 3 months timeline, not on a 3 year timeline. And the school book in Austria takes 3 years, 2 to 3 years to write, publish, approve it, and bring it into the classroom. So if it would have been a school book, we would talk now about ChatGPT in the early days, and not about artificial intelligence on an agentic level or something else. So we split up the company into two parts. The one part is Medienbildung.at, which is like medialiteracy.at. Here we are the project partner of many projects related to media literacy, with economy, with newspapers. And the other half is the media driving license, the Medienführerschein. Here we are like a publishing, educational publishing company, making not the curriculum, but making the interactive online learning service to use. Me, myself, as I said before, I come from the media industry. I worked for newspapers. My last long-time employer was a Swedish company in the field of audiobooks and ebooks. But switching into to the educational industry, if you can call it like this, into education, now I work very different hats. Obviously, I'm a teacher. I'm a digital literacy teacher for 4 years, but I founded also the Forum Medienbildung. This is the company, and I'm on board of the International Association for Media Education. And my partner in crime, or my co-founder, is Simon. Unfortunately, he's stuck at the airport at the moment without internet, but he's like our CEO, and he's the lead, the head of the media driving license from a pedagogical perspective. He's our learn designer within the company. He comes from the media industry, from the entertainment industry as well, because he used to be a musician and became a teacher also some years ago. Important for us is that the company is not like this is one company and we do our product. We are connected to very different, many project partners. This is like one of it's actually now half a year old. It's pretty old already. But if you see at this paper, at this slide here, Livest, this is a regional internet service provider. We created an initiative together that's called Gescheit Digital. This is very good for us because Levers, as an internet service provider, realized that they can't control obviously what happens on their internet data lines, but they need to give the people the competency to use it, to work with it. So that's where we took the content from the media driving license and we put it into other projects as well. So if it's the project with Livest, they finance the project and we spread it into a broader society, especially for senior people. Then you see the Austrian Press Agency. Here we work on a project for fact checking. You see various newspapers on this slide. But one project that started a year ago, and I think that will be something that can grow very big, is the Handybewusste Gemeinde. You see it in the middle on the top. That means this is the smartphone aware village. What we do here is we go to the various stakeholders of villages like the municipal hall, but also like the Boy Scouts or the Scouts, also soccer organizations, and we give them various exercises and input, and they discuss within their rooms the digital literacy and how to deal with it. To get parents on board, we created the digital balance cards. This is one of our publishing products. It is actually not 45, as it says here, it's 46 already, different cards. Each card has its own, it can be either a practice card or it can be a card for knowledge. And the idea is this the family, two partners, but we already use it within the classroom. You pick one card, like on Sunday evening at lunch, and then you read this one. The one you see here, it says media diary. You see an exercise, make a media diary for the next week. The idea is of which media do you use when, how long do you use it? And one important question is, what did you actually want to do on your smartphone, and with what did you end up and how do you feel about it? So you always pick one card, you get it within the next week, and you just it's not like a book that you have to read. It's just one short knowledge. It's especially most of the cards deal with these persuasive technologies. So there's one card for fear of missing out. There's one card for endless scrolling. There's one card for gamification, and it's always very down to earth, explained of how those techniques and technologies influence our daily life. So that you can reflect within the week. I myself use it, and I know it from other teachers in school. Like in the first minutes when you want to get your classroom to be quiet, we just pick a card. One of the pupils or students is reading out the card. We make a short discussion for 2 minutes about the card, and then I can start my work as a teacher. One project that we also, I'll show you the project up front in the beginning because I will make then afterwards a deep dive into the media driving license. But I think it's good to know that this is not only like this online learning system, there's also like this project like News Deconstructed. You can try that. It's in German, but it will work with other languages too. The idea is that we created on the University of Linz a framework of how to deconstruct news and find out who wrote about the story, why. The question is the story itself, and from a school or from an educational perspective, what can you learn from the story, from the news story? So if you go to newsdeconstructed.eu, you find a AI developed service which takes the news, the URL that you put into the service, and then asks those questions according to the framework, and then gives you like an overview how three different AI services answer those questions. Why three? Because it's very important for us was to have like a Eurocentric perspective with Mistral. We have the American perspective with ChatGPT, obviously, as at that time still the main AI service, and you have like a Chinese point of view with DeepSeek, which came out at this moment. And very fortunately for us, we got the prize for this for digital humanism last year. So this is what it looks like. This is the landing page of newsdeconstructed.eu. You can try it anytime yourself if you want to. The service itself is live and can be used anytime. But I will jump over that just to give you an overview. What you see here now is the media driving license. This is our product for teachers. Why? Because in Austria, media literacy was not part of the curricula up until 4 or 5 years ago. It was like within other lessons, like in German, you had parts of how to read news. But the problem is when the government decided to put media literacy into the daily lessons, they decided to put it into computer applied sciences, informatics. So at that time, or still up to now, we had only 1 hour per week to teach computer science. So this was changed because now half of the curricula is media literacy, digital literacy, what they call it. And now we only have half an hour left to teach media computer sciences, and we only have half an hour, if you like, split it up by half, to teach digital and media literacy. So historically, most of the teachers who teach digital literacy up in Austria educated in computer sciences. And sure, there is like overlapping topics within digital literacy, media literacy, and computer sciences. But from my honest perspective, it's two complete different subjects. And putting those together into one, it took the strength of computer sciences away, and it did not give the media literacy the amount of time that we would need to teach it, because as said before, we have like 8 hours to 20 or 14 hours a day of screen time for adult students, and we only have 1 hour per week left to teach it. So we thought, how can we change it? How can we make it more comfortable for teachers to teach it? The second problem with the topic is, as you said in the beginning in your introduction, is that the topic is changing so fast that even me as a person who deals like 8 hours a day with the topic itself, not even I know like all the things that happen all the time. Those inventions, those services, those apps, they developed so fast, and the time that we have to cope with these services, it's like months now. Sometimes it's week until something is started, and we need to find a way how to teach it. So we thought we go into um, an online learning service, because on the one side it gives us the possibility to scale it fast into schools. If it would be a book, we would have the problem with the printing process, and it's very hectic and it takes a lot of time. On the other side, we can work on a very actual level. We can like change news content, we can change content within the media driving license on a daily basis, and get it into the system within like a mouse click. A media license, I know this that is especially in the academic field, that a media license, the discussion is often about the word license. I like that there's this discussion about it, because it gives us, we are the topic of the discussion. Obviously, it's not a license that allows someone to use social media, but if it would be a license, the things that you learn within the media driving license are the things that you need to deal with. So it's critically reflecting on content, especially on this fast video content like TikTok. It's giving the students their own way of finding their digital identity. It's not like when we talk about media literacy, and especially if adults talk to students about media literacy, it's often on a level of be critic, it's bad, you need to take, and you need to be aware of the problems, and we always talk about the problems. I do think this is correct, but if we see it from the reality of a student, this is the service they need to deal with on like a lot of time of the day, and especially in the future. So what we want to achieve with the media license, media driving license, is we want to give them the tool set of using it also for their own good and for their own benefit, especially when it comes to storytelling. If you are within social media, I think the right way to use it is not to be a consumer all the time and just get the content by the algorithm. I think it's a good way to express your own story, to tell your own story. So this is a very integral part also of the media driving license. The driving license itself, it's online. You can use it as a teacher. It's not like a common school book that is just like this teacher, and there's the difference between a teacher and the student. Our system is developed that you as a teacher, you click through the Medienführerschein, the media driving license, and the students do the same with you. So you get to know the whole s- content together. You work at it as a group, and you as a teacher, you are like the coach, the one who helps the students find out. But we try not to be more of this like I teach you how it works, especially in this area on these services. We as teachers learn a lot from the students. My knowledge about, let's say, Snapchat, which is now one of the most important apps for my students, it doesn't come from my experience. It comes from the experience of my students. So I learn something on the way as well. And the four modules we have in lower secondary school. So we started with 10 to 14-year-olds. This in Austria, it is 4 years. It's the age 10, 11, 12, 13, or 14, let's say. But it's 4 years of school. And each year we have 36 hours. So if it's a long year, we have 37 hours or 36 weeks to teach. So if we have 1 hour per week to teach media literacy, and also we have to teach the computer sciences within this time frame, we thought we need to start with not like half of the time, because most of the teachers already had developed their own learning sets over the year. So we said we start with 10 units per module. So each module has 10 units, and each module is for one school year. And within these 10 units, we have like all the content or the knowledge that is necessary for the curriculum adopted for the media driving license. Here on this slide, you see like the module one, how it's set up. It's the beginning. This time they're 10 years old. It's about the fundamentals of the media world. It's a lot about what is media. It's about this news. It's about what is digital, what is analog, what is media use, and also the first basics of data protection. On the right side, you see some points. The Austrian curriculum is we work with competency points. I'm not sure if it's the same with you, but this is necessary for the teachers so that they know that they feel all the competency, or they deal with all the competency points of the curriculum that we have as teachers. The second module, now it's about, we want to get into practical. We already had a lot of critics in the first module. So now we want to teach them on the practical side how to use media. Storytelling is a very prominent part within this second module. It's about planning a media project. So that the students learn how to tell their own story, always within the media driving license, is that the topic itself is chosen by the student or by the group of students, so that we always have this way of dealing with their interests. So here you have now media production. It's about podcasts, it's video production, it's about social media design. So they choose their own company in that case, and they create their own advertising for this company, so they can choose it themselves. On the third module, now we talk about 12-year kids with a lot of screen time. We realized we need to go back to the more critical point of view because cyberbullying becomes a very prominent topic within the schools. So we talk about cyberbullying, about hate speech, fake news. It's about data security and how to work with the services. And very important in that module is at the end of the module, they create their own media code of conduct for their class or for their school. We want to have them participated within creating this media content because we believe if the school, the law, the civilization, or anyone tells a teen you are not allowed to use it, it makes it often more interesting. So we decided we want to fill this gap by letting them have created their own media code of conduct. And in the fourth module, this is now the last year in lower school before they change into higher school with 14, 15. Now we wanted them to create something. It's the future of media, is the narrative, it's the topic, but we want to talk about new technologies like virtual reality or augmented reality or XR, and how big data is working for the platform economy. It gets a little bit more into the economical point of view. And then they have a longer creative workshop where they bring their own ideas into life by using media. And in the end of the fourth module, they have the great presentation. They have a feedback session with the teacher. Something we want to start this year is that they also can broadcast their projects within the media driving channels that we have the license, our channels, but this is set up for this year. That's not already yet part. And then in the end, become the certificate to have something within the hands to show that I have a certificate on I did the media driving license. I said it's not like the certificate will give you the right to use it. Obviously not. So a bit of wrong idea. But our students, when they apply for a new school, for high school, when they apply for a job at that age, sometimes, usually the curriculum, the CV is like 2 lines, primary school and lower school, and maybe the project days they spent with at companies, but usually it's not many things that they can provide and show. So that's why I want to give them a haptical certificate that they can show that they did. These are some screens from the media driving license. I will show you in a live version in a second. But what you see here is, as a teacher, it's usually set up this way. It's in German, but if you look at the media driving license, all the sessions, all the lessons have the same setup. In the beginning, there is a short information and download section with the teacher's guide. So a teacher can open up today's session, today's unit, and within a one-pager of a PDF, within 5 minutes, you already see what is today's topic, what do I need to start. You don't need to have the knowledge about all of this content that is within, because as I said, you as a teacher, you get to know the media driving license with your students together. But within the teacher's guide, you always have more complex, more deeper knowledge about the topics, so that if there are any questions arise, you find them in the teacher's guide. Then we'll come to a video input session, which is usually me or my colleague, where we give them the first input of today's lesson. And then it varies. Sometimes it's more input sessions. Sometimes it's more about practical working together. We try to fit many as various educational, how do you say this, educational ways as possible. So there is like a group work, you can work alone, you can make a presentation. There are 26 different ways of how to educate within the media driving license. So the idea is that for the students, the lessons themselves never get boring. That they have like a lot of varieties. We know within 1 year now, the last year we had 6,000 students making the media driving license. We started last autumn, so this was our first year. We know that the current version is a little bit complex sometimes. So what we do is always in summer, we rebuild the media driving license in the feedback that we got. Fortunately, we had 115 schools last year making the media driving license. We had 6,000 students making the media driving license, and they all within the service provide feedback. So I think the setup, which we will, the second version, so the Medienführerschein 2.0, will be released on the 13th of September. This will be redone very much on a content level, but also on a design level, because this design right now is more like the beginning. Here you see something that the teachers can use then for can like some printouts. This is like the diary. Which media did you use, why, and when? So sometimes students get presentations to do. Sometimes they get homeworks. In that case, this everyday media, this diary is usually for 1 week, so they can do it, and they have various learning outcomes. So a YouTube channel can be created within the students. We have this media code that I mentioned before for the codecs for the school or for the classroom. Various podcasts or reports or even a blog is within. It's depending a lot on how, always obviously depending a lot on the teaching person as well. So if a teacher is very like into creating podcasts, you can use the Medienführerschein and get into more complex podcast setting. If you're more a news-oriented person, you can make your own teacher. You can make your own. You can get more complex within the news area. So we try to be like the one-fits-all solution to get as many people on board or fit into most of the classes. In Austria, we have this. We already found out there's, especially between cities and country, we have a different setting, and then there is this public schools and private schools. So this has always been like the hardest part is how does a lesson fit within all different settings that schools, how they are made up. Yeah, we started also as the final screen slide now with our app. This is basically due to in Austria they started to give students iPads or laptops 4 years ago. So basically every student now has an iPad or a tablet from Google, or a Chromebook or a Windows tablet. And the problem is that many schools, especially in the on the countryside, they have no computer classes, no computer rooms anymore, because the financing side said, if they have their own laptop anyway, why do we have to pay for a computer room? So that's why we now also switched on to a mobile version of it. But having it native makes it obviously more comfortable to use. This was my last slide. If you want to, I can give you a little. Do you still see my screen?
Yes, yes, we can see.
Okay, so this is like now a live version. This is what it looks like. Here's the demo. This is for free. Anyone can try it. It's on our website. If you're, yeah, I think you can translate it easily with the browser translation. But here you see different lessons. And then you see this is module 1 here. You see module 2 is the second year. The third year is module 3. And the fourth year is module 4. And if I, let's say, go into the first module, the yellow one, you see this is then live, what it looks like in school classes. my internet is not the best, but yeah, you always need to be very lightweight in the media driving Medienführerschein, because we got the feedback that many schools don't have fast internet connections. And now I'm going like media history. This is now what the lesson looks like for media history. You see the 10 different lessons. I'm now in the fourth. This is media history. Then you see the teacher's guide, the PDF that the teacher can download. In the next version, you not only get I think it's already here. Give me just a second. No, it's not yet in. Yeah, here it is. This is like the new design already. We're working on the live system. Then you have the teacher's guide to download here. And below you have all these papers you need to copy for your students, because in the first version we thought it is very digital driven, and the students will make them like download the PDF, fill it out, and send it to the teacher. Or sometimes it was not a PDF, sometimes it was a PowerPoint. The computer science side as well. We got the feedback that it's very complex for the students at that age. So we also said, beside the PDFs, the teacher can already download all the content in the beginning, before the lesson starts, and have all the handouts. And then you see the classical setup. It's like here you have the welcome video. Then this is the first lesson of all. It says what is the media driving license, what is expected from you, and what will happen to you. And then it starts with the first input sessions of what is media in daily life. And then you have one short discussion with the students. What do you know about media? And the reflection part. Or as an example, here you see the media history part. You see input session on video. Then you have this timeline on how mass media was created and the history of mass media. Then there is, in that case, it's a PowerPoint where students need to download the PowerPoint, and then this kind of a quiz. They need to, yeah, they need to put the right answers and questions together and connect the right, in that case, new or old media expressions. And then it's a short podcast. This is really a mini podcast, because this is set up for like our students who work with an iPad or a laptop in that first session. It is very detailed explained in the teacher guidance how to do it. And then in the end, they show their podcast, and they talk about media and mass media. And yeah, and every time after one module, they get the certificate, and the final certificate is then the media driving license. But in that case, it's not visible because there's some quizzes within the modules, which I didn't do in this demo account currently. Yeah.
Thank you so much, dear
So,
Johannes, for this interesting presentation. I especially appreciate how you
thank you.
shared both the challenges and the solutions, um, so that you have developed. So, and also I looked at all those topics presented in those modules, and I must say that
Mm,
I was really impressed. It was
Thanks.
very comprehensive. So, and of course, I have
It,
prepared some questions for you, but I
okay.
can see that today our audience is quite active, and we already have some questions
Ah,
in the chat. So I would like to read out some of them.
yeah.
And alternatively, you can also unmute yourselves and ask your questions directly. So let's start with the first question. My question is, how can we teach our students to identify fallacies in media, fake news in media? Are there any specific techniques?
Yes, there are. Um, how we deal with it at the current situation at the Forum Medienbildung is, I think it's two narratives that we need to tackle. The one is the news literacy. It's like the broader perspective, and this is very much like teacher driven. This is we need to teach them about the different kind of news. What are the outlets? We need to teach them what is the business model of a newspaper, because fake news correlates, in my experience, very much to the business model of a newspaper. If you are a free newspaper, you need a different like clickbaiting strategy than if you have a subscription model as a let's say a print paper or a digital paper. So this is like the area where we work in the media driving license on the news in the news literacy area. The other side is there are techniques on how to spot fake news. So this is like the practical work done. So if you see something, we want to make them critical before they read the news, because they know how the news industry works, or the attention economy, which became the news industry in some way. And on the other side, there's this practical point of view. And the practical point of view is how to spot fake news. What techniques do you know? What uses and what services can you use to spot fake news?
Thank you. And we have another question. Miss Aitan asks, what should we do to support digital balance? And what does it
So
mean to
sorry,
you?
I didn't get the question. It was noisy.
Yes, what does digital balance mean to you? And what should we do to support digital balance?
It's a very complicated question. I think the answer is even more complicated than the question. For me, digital balance is that I know that I'm not affected by the digital services, and I know how to deal with them, and I can like decide which app to use when and why. Digital unbalance would be for me if the app tells me what to do, when, and why. So that's what I want to teach my students. But that does not mean that's the same for someone else. For me, digital balance is to have no smartphone in holidays, but I'm very active on my smartphone when I'm working. So, but I can decide, and I know how to turn it off in holidays, and I know how to turn it on when I'm working. So this is I think the question is very personal, but I think being not driven by the service, by the app, by the smartphone, by the screen, driving it yourself. That should be the idea.
Thank you so much. And we have one more question. Ms. Arzu asks, how can we encourage students to question not only what they see online, but also why it was created?
Yeah, this this is a very interesting question. I come from a business model perspective. I created business model for newspapers, and that's what I found so fascinating is that finding out why it's true or not true. As an example, like fake news or misinformation, there are different terms to use here. We found a very practical way of getting students on board by making them the business model developer. So we said, what do you want to be? Some said, I want to be an artist. Some said, I want to make the drop shopping company. I want to get rich. So there are different answers to the question. And we told them, okay, now how do you get how do you get uh, the knowledge about social media, how it works? So they get a fake €100 to spend on an advertising system, and then they realized, okay, this is like an advertisement, and this is a true information that you get. So I think it's the participation of the students that's necessary, but giving them this fake money was a very interesting workshop setting, and it will be in the second version. It's also now for the media driving license, because it connected somehow their interest and need into how does the industry work? Why are there fake news? This comes a lot from the news deconstructed framework.
Thank you so much. And we have one more question. Miss Elvira asks, I teach English to students who are also being trained as future athletes and coaches. a field where trust in expert sources, coaches, and even sports science claims spreads very fast on social media. Media
Yeah.
literacy training I've seen usually focuses on political news or general fake news examples. My question is that how would you adapt media literacy teaching for discipline-specific audience like sports students, where the misinformation isn't political headlines, but things like fake training methods, doping misses,
Yeah.
unverified nutrition claims, or manipulated before or after transformation content from influencers?
Yeah, I think there's two levels. On the one side, it's the personal brand. I think you can reach future athletes by showing them if they want to build their personal brand, which is necessary as an athlete nowadays. You need to know how those services work. So you can specifically by creating this personal brand show them how misinformation works on TikTok, how disinformation works on Instagram, and so on and so on. And I think you can tell future athletes that they have how do you say it in English? I missed the word now. For future generations, they are some kind of idols. So they have, the Verantwortung, they need to be trustworthy because people follow their lead. So I think you can show them that with this personal brand, they create something where they have a necessity for the society, where they belong to something, and people follow their lead. So they need to be aware of these techniques and not become disinformation spreader, multiplication person or service because it will fall back on their own brand again.
Yes, thank you so much. Any other questions? If we don't have any questions, then we can say that we came to an end of one more session. And I would like thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Johannes, for accepting our invitation, for joining us, for sharing your
Very happy.
experience with all of us. And also, I would like to thank our audience for being active, for being with us within this media literacy journey. As you know, this is the last session in this series, and just stay tuned. In a couple of months, we will announce our next series. And until then, stay informed, stay critical, and stay media literate. So, good night, everyone, and see
Good
you
night
in
from
our
my side
next
too.
series.
Thanks for the invitation. And if there are any questions, please feel free to share my contact. It was a pleasure, and I hope to see all of you again.
Thank you.